Gigi Berardi reading FoodWISE, just 3 short paragraphs tonight. It is the conclusion of the introduction. And then I want to talk about some news related to FoodWISE resilience and coronavirus. These conflicts and choices are part of our everyday, and I cannot advocate strongly enough that we start reinvesting more time in food preparation and enjoyment. How else to develop kitchen savvy? You get more practical experience and wisdom by boiling some water, even to make mac and cheese from a box, than you do sticking a bag of pre-made food into the microwave. And that's where the experience comes in. That's right. I am advocating a package of macaroni and some boiling water as a substantive cooking experience, particularly if you experiment. Add some pepper. Even this to me is cooking. Is it whole? Just take a look at the ingredients on the box. Not exactly. So, ixnay on the W in wise, but bring on the E for experience. You're cooking. And maybe after reading this book, you will have the I for informed and the S for sustainability, which might make you rethink stocking up on the highly processed version of that cheesy mac. Becoming food wise means becoming conscious of the ways our decisions shape both of our shared and personal worlds. In part 1, we'll look closely at how food is produced in our shared world. I want to start big, looking at that agricultural web and how our food choices can relate to it. We'll zoom in on food in our individual lives in part 2. What diet culture means, what science does and doesn't say, and how the beliefs we've grown up with shape our decisions. Finally, in part 3, we'll stop, think, then act, using FoodWISE guidelines. In part 4, I share recipes. How do we put all this into practice and become conscientious, responsible eaters and good cooks in this world that is so full of delicious food? Well, those last 6 or 7 words are exactly what I'd like to talk about tonight, this world full of delicious food. So the message in this part of FoodWISE is, in a sense, making do with less, making do with what you've got, being appreciative and grateful for what you have, that Kraft's mac and cheese, let's say, and enjoying the experience of cooking, because that is a learning moment and contributes to our practical wisdom. And that contributes to how we know what to do, how to do the right thing. But the articles tonight focus on the coronavirus pandemic and impending world famine and hunger on a scale that hasn't been seen before since pocket areas, say, in the 1960s. And I've talked about that era a little bit in previous videos. So there's an article from the New York Times, and it talks about the coronavirus pandemic as being not so much the great equalizer affecting the rich and poor equally and alike, but actually the great revealer, that is in fact not the case, that more vulnerable groups are more affected. And then an article from The Guardian, which is looking at estimates, and Kenya looms large here in terms of being one of the most severely affected countries in the world, particular pockets of individuals, of groups in Kenya and where they're located, and some of what is happening in the country in terms of a kind of forward planning. And then the last article emphasizes how important it is to try and plan, especially now, where for many of us, we really have not been hard hit. This is true in the United States, with the exception of certain pockets, which of course I've talked about in earlier videos. But we have the largesse now to plan, to start making do with less, but hand in hand with that is the need for superior tracking and other technology that's going to help us try and understand where the most needy pockets are likely to occur.